Hi, this is Nancy Reynolds. Welcome to my stamping space. You'll know me as Stampin' with Nutsy, and I'm using the hand-penned suite this month as part of our Suite of the Month presentations. Hope you are enjoying all the videos. I have this lovely card. It's cinnamon cider. I've actually had some technical difficulties, and so I've had to start over. I'm about halfway done putting it together. So I apologize for not going back and redoing the whole thing, but I didn't have any more cardstock cut. So what I have is half a card. I've got half a sheet of cardstock, scored at 4 1/4, cut at 5 1/2, and folded. Then I have a 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 piece of white cardstock. And I just had a little strip left over from some cuttings I had. And so I glued that across the bottom. It's, again, 4 1/8 inches. And what I did was a 3rd generation stamping with cinnamon cider. I used the large flower and I inked it up with cinnamon cider ink. And then I stamped it off once and I stamped it off twice. And this one would probably have been okay for the center, but then I stamped it a 3rd time. And I think having it the lighter, it's a little bit better so I can write my message across it. Then I also have a piece of 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 cinnamon cider, and I ran it through with the embossing folder. It's the Tasteful Texture 3D embossing folder. I really like that one. It just gives you a little bit of subtle dimension. You might notice that our theme today is DSP because that is our special in July. 7-Up is a good sale on DSP, Designer Series paper, which I love it. It does all the work. Makes me feel good. But I also am doing scallops. This is a stitch scallop design. This is one of the dies in the set hand pinned. I'm just looking for my dies. I don't see where I put them. There they are. They were hiding. What I did was I cut a 2-inch piece of Designer Series paper, and then I die cut it on the edge with the die cut. It's now glued down flat, and it was a little bit longer than this piece, so I have just trimmed a sliver off of it. We've got the sentiment. Now this die is from the succulent bundle. It says the sentiment is from hand penned. Feel better, friend. But I thought this was the perfect size to cut it out with, so I went and grabbed this out of that succulent dies. Then I took and I cut one out of white, the one I'd stamped. I cut a cinnamon cider piece. Then I sliced it, used glue so that I had some wiggle room, and glued it together so I have a little cinnamon cider on each side. There's a reason only 3 corners have dimensionals on, and I will tell you that reason a little bit later. Here is the focal point. I die cut the flower out of white, and there are different ways you can adhere it. When I did the first card, I used glue, and I just took my Tombow and I just dabbed little bits of glue all over the back. And then I put it down and held it till it was done. Another way you can do that is on your silicone mat, where glue won't stick, is you can put a dab of glue and use a sponge dauber or a piece of sponge and sponge on the glue and then put it down and it'll hold. The way I did it on this one is I took our adhesive sheets. The adhesive sheet is a double-sided glue. The glue actually sticks to this part. So I took a piece of white cardstock, just a scrap really, and I put it in like this. And I did 2 sections. That's why this big square is out. This is the side with the adhesive sheet on it. So if you open this up, you've got adhesive here. So it basically turns it into a sticker for you. But this is the back side. So you turn it over, and then you take your die and you put it on top of your paper and cut it out. Now what you need to do though is probably run that through 2 or 3 times, because this does make it a little bit thicker. When you turn it over, be sure that everything is cut through, or run it through again upside down on your cut and emboss machine. It'll give you a little more pressure in a little different area. Then when you're taking it apart, you're going to get all those little bits and pieces out. Some of them will come off when you peel off your backing from the glue, but you will need to do some removal of the little bits and pieces. And that has an official name. That is called weeding. So you would take your pick. So the first thing I did, while it was still on the die, I put it in here on the die, and then I took and I rolled my little take your pick brush over it, and then I popped off the end, and any place that wasn't gone, I weeded by hand. This is a different kind of weeding. This is not the back-breaking weeding you do outside in the yard, because it's a shame to be watering weeds. So I always weed and then I water the flowers. Not my favorite job, by the way. Anyway, back to card making. Once this is stuck down, it really is okay if you have a little bit more dimension by having a couple of spots that don't quite stick perfectly, but the majority of it is stuck down, and that's what's important. And then I put dimensionals on the back. I truly believe that when I first started stamping, if I'm remembering right from long ago, I didn't realize how handy these little edges were and that they could be used, and I think I threw some of them away. Now they're my favorite part of it. I like doing it this way with strips of dimensionals. And you just pick these off. They're so large, they're harder to lose and get all over the house. We're gonna go on with that. We're just now at the point, catching up to where I was when I had the technical difficulties. And I'm going to put my ribbon on. So I'm not the best bow maker, and I really don't like to make bows on camera. It seems to be way harder than it needs to be. So I just take a little bit of seal across the bottom and the top. I decide which direction I want my scallops to go, and I want them to mirror the ones on the edge. I get this down and into, just kind of line it up fairly straight onto that glue that I just put on. Oh, that is not my, here are my ribbon scissors. They actually do cut ribbon. I keep them separate. I keep a nice big piece of ribbon on them so that I know which scissors are special and are sharp. This one came off. I'll put it on again. There. For right now, I'm just going to leave this kind of loose. I'm going to put it on the silicone mat because it won't stick to it. I'm going to cut myself another section of ribbon, put it under, and tie a knot. That's all I'm going to do. And I cut that really a little bit long. I didn't need to cut it that long. You can kind of move it around if it needs to come down a little bit on the paper, on the ribbon. And then I'll cut myself a little slashes. Yes, I did waste a little ribbon. Let's see, here we go. There we have our cute little faux bow. We're going to take off our pieces of backing on our dimensionals. Now, I always suggest that you have a garbage can handy so that you can put these right in the garbage can. Because, I don't know, dimensional backs get all over everywhere. It amazes me. Okay, putting these in. This just goes in about the middle-ish. There we are. The reason this has 3 dimensionals on it and will have glue on one corner is because it is going to sit, get those backs off, on this piece which has already been raised up. So the raised up end just gets glue and the other corners have dimensionals. So it's at the same height as this one. Okay, we are moving right along. Let's take a little glue on the back of this. I sometimes like to open it up. I like the tone on tone of the 2 layers. There we are. A little bling. On this Take Your Pick tool, I have the putty end on one side and another one of the pokey tools on the other side. And I am going to put these on an angle because I kind of like diamonds shapes. I know I need to use 3 and I don't want to put it on the raised areas already. Maybe I will put it over here. There we are. There's our card. Our hand pen suite for Suite of the Month. Isn't this a fun little one? Don't you think? I think anyone would enjoy getting this. And I did a strip of the DSP on the envelope. And again, it's got the scallops on the edge just to make it look pretty. And it's really well glued down with my liquid glue. I hope you've enjoyed the Suite of the Month. I hope you give the card a try. It wasn't hard to make, but I think it's a very pretty card that will make someone smile when they get it as Happy Mail. So happy stamping, happy crafting, and I'll see you again.